Okay, the video quality on this is going to be probably horrible, but I just want to get this out. This video is not intended to divide the spiritual community. My intention is to bring more unity through positive communication, non-violent communication. I welcome all perspectives, and I feel that us learning how to relate and define these gifts with some relatively shared pool of meaning will allow us to develop into the next level of our spiritual maturity. Language is extremely important to me, you guys. I am a Gemini, a grand air trine. Communication is massively huge, and I try to be impeccable with my words. I try to be just as impeccable with the memes, the articles, the information, and teachers I share on my page. So my little soapbox for, moment for this video before I actually get started is to consider your social media account. Consider the teachers and pages you elevate. Consider the memes you share. Consider the motivations that you have for sharing them. What you are creating on your social media pages is a virtual container of your essence in the artificial realm, okay? And it has profound effects on you and the world we are creating together. It does mean something when you share these things. You're affecting other people with your energy, and you're giving it meaning by sharing it, and other people look to you for a certain flavoring on those things. And so I'm here to help you develop empathy versus intuition. But consider your social media pages. Does it truly reflect the energy of you, or is it a version of you that you want others to see? And in that thinking, consider the fact that your job is really to merge and integrate those together. Okay. Empathy versus intuition. Empathy is not a linear gift because you are outside of space and time. So let's be clear. I want to define empathy very clearly. Let's be totally clear that the gift of empathy, truly at its core, is about placing yourself so much into the other person's perspective and their perception filters that you would do exactly the same thing if given the same circumstances, okay? You are not using your own mental or emotional bodies to relate. You are using theirs. So true empaths, their gift is an ability to actually place themselves outside of space and time, outside of their own emotional and mental bodies, into the attention and stream of the other person's energy, so much so that they have identified with the situation, the emotions, the decisions, the feelings, everything, okay? They can see why Hitler chose to behave in the ways he did by identifying with his wounding and how his blueprint caused him to develop, okay, and why he might have chosen to do those things. That doesn't mean that they're excusing it, okay? Doesn't mean that they're accepting it. It just means that they can place themselves so much so into that person's awareness and identify with their own mental and emotional body perception filters so much so that they don't they're literally that person feeling that person, okay? So it's a completely ungrounded and typically not super useful gift at the later stages of awakening. Okay, this is why so many empaths actually feel victimized by their gifts, why they choose to stay home and they don't want to go out in anybody else's energy. They're being victimized by their gifts. They aren't evolving their gifts. They're stuck. I used to read the Akashic this way, and to be honest, it felt like I was more accurate. I got way more compliments from clients than I do now. I didn't trigger nearly as many of them, but I was not actually more accurate at all. What I actually was not in a sacred, neutral, 0 point energy. It felt more accurate to the other person because I was actually identifying with their wounding and the reasons why they engaged in these karmic patterns in the first place. So what they actually needed from me was a higher level wisdom and intuition that allowed me to see outside of their perception filters. They needed to see how someone else would see that situation through higher dimensional wisdom. So intuition is a higher gift. It is a knowingness that has a time stamp in linear time. It is an anchor point, a grounding point in your timeline, because you have had a somatic response within your body, within your mental and emotional perception filters, okay? And that feels like a deep knowingness because it's integrated within your body, okay? So for me, it is my gut brain, and it feels much lower in my body. But it is not in my heart brain like empathy is. Empathy is very much up here. It can sometimes cause my heart to be, to race, sometimes even get anxiety. That is not a deep knowingness. That is an upper, higher frequency, like, not even frequency. I don't want to say it that way. It's a different part of your knowingness that you're using. It's a different part of your energy body that you're using, okay? Now, the real trick is to integrate the two into a quantum superpower that allows you to be a particle and a wave, okay? To understand when goosebumps are empathy and when goosebumps are intuition, okay? So if you have genuinely worked to develop a perspective of your own within your own perception filters in accordance with the sacred neutrality of universal law, that is intuition. People think intuition is instantaneous always. Sometimes it is. Having a complete and total abstract concept fully formed and understood, just downloaded and deposited into your brain happens. But that certainly is not the rule, you guys. I think what we need to do in the spiritual community is give ourselves a little bit of room, okay, to define these things a little bit differently. To understand that intuition doesn't look like cosmic wisdom zapped down into our brains from the outside. Because if that's the only way we allow ourselves to look at it, we leave ourselves open to a mad, serious, high-level amount of interference. Because not everything that magically enters into our perception filters is divine and benevolent, okay? Not everything that feels good in your body is in alignment with universal wisdom and source consciousness, okay? There is a universal truth source frequency in all information here. Consider that a straight line, okay? A low frequency being, okay, would be having large troughs and valleys and not be intersecting with that line of truth very often. Whereas a high frequency being, see, they would be intersecting with that line of truth much more regularly than a low frequency being, okay? So that is a developed skill. That's something that happens over time, okay? Being empathic would allow us to sit in those low troughs with another energy or with another being, ensuring that they don't feel alone, but vibrating at the same frequency. While intuition would create a new frequency outside of space and time for that being to align with, that would be closer to the frequency of source. And that's a developed skill and a gift at the same time. So when someone says something that moves you outside of your body to their perspective, that's triggers too. Understand that's the first step. Okay, that's empathy. That's a feeling in your body that takes you outside of space and time to maybe identify with that other person's perceptive filters. But you take that beautiful gift of energetic awareness that's outside of your body and then you move it down into your body and begin working that out in the present moment through your own body filter. Okay? Now here's the trick. The more that you can remain open and in the 0-point field of sacred neutrality, the more accurate your intuition will become. Because you may have to watch videos you disagree with. You might have to read news articles that you normally wouldn't read. That don't feel good, because working out your own intuition, it's really about taking in a lot of information about a certain subject so that you can see the underlying truth in that subject sometimes. Okay? If it doesn't come fully deposited in your brain, this abstract concept, then you have to go out and develop that intuition, okay? Here's why, okay? Because the distortion here is real, you guys. The fundamental laws of this reality, like natural law here, has been obfuscated and hidden and really at this point weaponized and manipulated against you. So one of the worst things that you can do right now is trust how you feel in your body when you hear, read, or see something. It's literally the worst. And also why I believe there's such a push in the spiritual community right now to confuse these two concepts, okay? So many in the new cage community are looking for that feel-good, sugary, sweet perspective, and why they're feeding the Luciferian agenda of all love and light. Just feel good all the time. They're using their gift of empathy instead of their spiritually matured, shadow-integrated, well-developed superpower of intuition. Okay, so many of them are avoiding the darkness, avoiding the truth of what's going on here, which is keeping us stuck in these cycles. So, you know, the only way for you to truly understand the beautiful, blinding, you know, fullness of your light is to really understand and accept the fullness of your dark shadow. Every one of us has a different level of awareness and ability to house that within our bodies. So some of us can go down darker rabbit holes and read deeper stuff than others. And that's not to say that's good or bad. I mean, your goal is to continue to expand your awareness, and you know, if you want that, push yourself towards that. But, you know, that may not be your mission either. And if that's the case, just consider that stay in your lane of level of awareness, okay? So if you don't want to go down those deep, dark rabbit holes and really, truly understand and align your truth with natural law of what's really going on here, don't speak on them. That's okay. But I think for me, what's happening right now is we have a lot of people that are in fear and looking for these quick fixes and solutions to get out of fear. And so unfortunately, we have spiritual teachers that feel empathetic towards that, but are not creating true change for people. They're sitting in that darkness and not giving them the tools and the awareness of the true alignment back to source. We're just relating to the same cycles of trauma and abuse through perception filters that aren't healed. That's what I'm going to say about it right now. Again, it isn't easy to locate one source of truth, which to me is the point of distorting intuition into being kind of like instantaneous. Okay, that's the main goal that I want to get through here. It's developed over a long period of time of being able to understand your own cognitive distortions and bringing those into alignment with the truth of universal law here. So when you do that, that correlates more to a knowingness deeper within. Could you work that out in your body through your own perception filters and lenses? You know in your gut what your intuition says about subject XYZ. It doesn't mean to not stay open. Remain open. Stay in sacred, neutral, 0 point energy, because the moment, again, if you feel like you don't like some wisdom or information that came in, practice pause, as my friend Rebecca says. Figure out why you feel that way about the information. And again, building your intuition around that may mean that you have to take in some information that doesn't really super feel good. But again, you won't know unless you take in a lot of information here to find the underlying threads of universal truth. So, intuition isn't instantaneous, okay? It doesn't just randomly, magically drop down into your brain, okay? That's silly. Anybody has any questions, or if they really super don't agree, or they have a different perspective, I'm all for it. This is the only way that we develop a shared pool of meaning and understand each other. So let me know what y'all think. Hope you're all having a great day. I'm Becca from Becca About It. Don't just talk about it, be about it.